20 shots tore into the rear of a car, killing Alex Shirley and critically injuring his friend Sophie Hagee. Shirley was the son of reality TV personality Ronnie Shirley from the show Lizard Lick Towing. Although Hagee survived, she's now paralyzed from the waist down.
Deputies found 21-year-old Harley Alexander Shirley dead at the Sheets on Cornwallis Road in Garner late Thursday night. Shirley is the son of Lizard Lick Towing reality TV star Ron Shirley.
20-year-old Joshua Stewart pleaded guilty earlier for his part in the shootings back in February of 2022 near Clayton.
They didn't just make noise, they took over the screen. Sirens screaming, fists flying, engines roaring, and somehow you couldn't look away. One second they were hunting down desperate debtors on dusty North Carolina backroads. The next, it was pure chaos in a parking lot with millions of Americans glued to the madness. Lizard Lick Towing wasn't just reality TV. It was controlled chaos turned into entertainment, bigger, louder, and more unpredictable than anything else on television at the time. And then, silence. No warning, no finale, just gone. So what really happened when the cameras shut off? Because behind the wild fights and over-the-top drama lies a story that's even more unbelievable than what aired on True TV. Buckle up, this isn't just a behind-the-scenes story, it's what came after the spectacle that will leave you stunned. Let's jump back to 2011 for a moment. Cable TV was still king, and True TV was dropping wild, unpredictable reality shows that people just couldn't stop watching. Right in the middle of that chaos were two names that took over Monday nights, Ron Shirley and Amy Shirley from a tiny place called Lizard Lick, North Carolina. Their show, Lizard Lick Towing, ran from 2011 to 2014 and delivered 91 episodes of pure, high-energy madness. On paper, the idea was simple, a towing company repossessing vehicles, nothing fancy. But what actually happened on screen? Total chaos. Every episode followed Ron, Amy, and their crew, especially Bobby Brantley, as they went out to reclaim cars, bikes, and anything else they could get their hands on, while dealing with owners who were definitely not ready to let go. And that's where things got wild. There was shouting, there were scuffles, sometimes it felt like a fight could break out at any second. But it wasn't just noise and tension. These people had real personality. Ron came across as loud and intimidating, but you could tell he cared. Amy could either calm things down or flip the switch instantly. And Bobby? He looked like he was always one bad moment away from tackling somebody. At its peak, the show was pulling in nearly 3 million viewers per episode. That's massive. This wasn't background TV. It was the kind of show people talked about the next day like it had just happened live. Drama, humor, tension, even moments that felt genuinely real. It had everything. Which makes you wonder, shows like that don't just disappear for no reason. So what actually ended this crazy ride? But before we answer that, there's a question fans have been debating for years. Was it any of it even real? Here's where things get interesting. The network never called it reality TV. Instead, they used the term actuality, which sounds confident, but also kind of like they were avoiding a bigger conversation. Yes, Lizard Lick Towing was based on a real company. The people were real, the repossessions did happen, but a lot of what you saw on screen recreated, exaggerated, and sometimes scripted to make things more entertaining. Real events were turned up to 11. So does that change how people feel about the show? For many fans, not really. Because at the end of the day, the cast didn't need much help to be interesting. Ron's energy felt natural. Amy's presence was powerful. Bobby brought unpredictable intensity. Even with a loose script, they were still fun to watch. Still, over time, that blurred line between real and staged started to matter. Audiences got smarter. People began to question what they were seeing. And once viewers start doubting the authenticity of a show that's supposed to feel real, it's hard to win them back. At the same time, the network itself was changing direction, experimenting with new types of content. Put those things together, and suddenly the show's future didn't look so stable anymore. Which brings us to the big question people have been asking for years. Why did Lizard Lick Towing actually end? The truth is a lot less dramatic than the rumors. Some fans believed there was a huge behind-the-scenes fallout. Others thought the show crashed in some explosive way, but in reality, it was mostly business. By 2014, when Season 4 aired, reality TV had already started to shift. What worked in 2011 didn't hit the same anymore. New shows were popping up everywhere, all fighting for attention. Networks like truTV were changing their strategy, looking for something fresh. In the end, it came down to falling ratings and new priorities. No big scandal, just timing. But there was one major change that fans definitely felt: Bobby Brantley leaving. Bobby wasn't just another cast member. He was Ron's right-hand man, his closest ally, and a huge part of the show's chemistry. So when he stepped away in 2014 to focus on his own opportunities, it left a noticeable gap. Behind the scenes, things weren't perfect either. Reports suggested tension between Ron and him, and after the show ended, some of those disagreements became public. And honestly, you could feel the shift even on screen. The energy wasn't quite the same anymore. Then, on August 18th, 2014, the final episode aired. No big farewell, no emotional goodbye, just over. And like many reality shows, it quietly faded out. But here's the part a lot of people miss. Before the cameras, before the fame, before all the chaos, this was just a small business built from nothing. Ron Shirley's story didn't start on TV. Born in 1972 in Raleigh, North Carolina, his path wasn't easy. A college football injury forced him to rethink everything. That moment pushed him into the towing world in the early 90s, a job filled with risk, tension, and constant confrontation. But Ron approached it differently. He didn't just show up to take cars. He talked to people. He negotiated. He tried to keep situations from exploding, which is almost ironic considering how things looked on TV. By 1998, he turned that hustle into something real, starting Lizard Lick Towing with just one truck. No spotlight, no hype, just hard work. Over time, that single truck grew into a full operation with a team and a reputation. That wasn't luck, it was years of consistency. And then there's Amy. Calling her just Ron's wife doesn't even come close. She's a record-holding powerlifter, has trained in MMA, worked as a mortician, and helped run the business. That's not a TV persona, that's a real layered person.
What's even more surprising, before all of this, they were almost cast on wife swap. Just one day of filming was enough for producers to realize they had something special. Off camera, Ron is also a pastor and helps run a ministry focused on supporting people dealing with addiction and abuse. It's a completely different side of the man people saw on TV. And of course, the show wasn't just about Ron and Amy, it was a full crew. Bobby Brantley, the fan favorite, had one of the most intense journeys after the show. After leaving in 2014, he stepped back from TV to focus on life and family. Then in 2019, everything changed. He was diagnosed with a pituitary tumor. He underwent surgery, fought through recovery, and came out the other side. That's a different kind of battle entirely. Today, he lives a quieter life with his family, still showing up at fan events and keeping that same lively energy people remember. Then there's Big Juicy, Elaine McGelvary, the unforgettable front office presence who brought humor to every scene. Since the show ended, she stayed mostly private but remains connected to the crew and her community. And Crazy Dave, the mechanic with unpredictable energy who made some of the show's wildest moments possible, he's still remembered as one of the most entertaining parts of the entire series. In the end, Lizard Lick Towing wasn't just about repossessions. It was about personalities, chaos, and a group of people who turned a small-town business into something millions couldn't stop watching. And even if parts of it were exaggerated, the impact it left behind, that part was very real. Dave has always been the kind of guy who shows up, gets involved, and brings energy wherever he goes. Over the years, he's popped up at community events, including Bobby Brantley's car show at King's Auto Corner for the Missiles for Christ ministry. But that's not all. He's also deeply into music. Dave writes, sings, and even worked on a project called the Rocky Cross Project, all while living a quiet life in Rocky Cross, North Carolina. And honestly, Dave becoming a musician, that might be the most perfectly crazy Dave twist imaginable, and somehow it just fits. Then there's Cousin Johnny. If you remember him, you remember the chaos. Ron's cousin, a towing assistant, and a magnet for drama, Johnny never did anything halfway. But in a surprising turn, he made one of the boldest moves of all. He stepped away completely. No social media, no public updates, nothing. He chose privacy over attention and stuck to it. These days, he's living life on his own terms, quietly hitting personal milestones. Funny how the loudest voices on TV can become the most silent once the cameras disappear. As for Swirly Earl, some things never change. He's still listed as a tow truck driver, still out there working, still doing what he's always done. While others moved on or faded out, Earl stayed steady. But while life carried on in different directions, music, family, work, and quiet retirements, something devastating was just around the corner, and nothing could have prepared them for it. There's no easy way to say this, so here it is straight. In February 2022, tragedy hit the Lizard Lick towing family in a way that shook everyone who had ever followed their story. Ronnie Shirley's son, Harley Alexander Shirley, was killed at just 21 years old. It happened after a memorial gathering for a friend who had died in a car accident. Harley had gone to pay his respects. Later that night, deputies responded to reports of gunfire and found him shot inside a vehicle at a nearby gas station. He went out to honor someone and never made it back home. Investigators later revealed that multiple shots were fired into the car. Harley, who was sitting in the back seat, was the intended target. A young woman sitting beside him, Sophie Hagee, also was hit. She survived, but her injuries left her permanently paralyzed from the waist down. The case quickly grew in scale, with multiple suspects arrested and charged. Over time, the legal process unfolded, stretching across years. Sentences were handed down, including decades-long prison terms for those involved. It was a long road towards justice, but no outcome could undo what was lost. In the middle of that pain, something unexpected happened. Ron Shirley, instead of retreating, spoke out. He took to social media, not with anger, but with messages of faith, forgiveness, and resilience. At a moment when most people would break, he chose to hold on and to encourage others to do the same. Because sometimes life splits into two paths. One where grief consumes everything, and another where you carry that weight every single day and keep moving forward anyway. The Shirley family chose the second path. So where are they now? Years after the show ended, and after everything they've been through, Ron and Amy are still standing and still building. By 2025, Ron is running Lizard Lick Towing in recovery again, managing a full operation with trucks, staff, and a steady flow of work. On top of that, he serves as a pastor, leading a community church alongside his business. There's no big TV comeback story here, no dramatic reboot, just consistency. Day after day, year after year, they kept going. And somehow the audience never really left either. With over 1 million followers on TikTok, people are still watching, just without the cameras and contracts. It's just them, their crew, and the life they've built. Amy continues to play a huge role in the business while also carving out her own path. She's an author, a fitness enthusiast, and a driving force behind everything they do. Her personality is as bold as ever, and she's still very much got the lick, as she likes to say. Around them, the extended crew has taken their own paths. Bobby Brantley's living farm life with his family, balancing the chaos of raising kids with occasional appearances at van events. Crazy Dave is still making music, Big Juicy is focused on her family and privacy, and Cousin Johnny still off the grid, exactly how he wants it. Through it all, one thing remains constant, the memory of Harley. The Shirley family continues to honor him, carrying his legacy with them in everything they do. Because behind the wild moments, the fights, and the reality TV fame, these were always real people living real lives. The show may be gone, the spotlight may have faded, but the story didn't end. It just got quieter and more real.